Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome. It's Friday, and today I am doing my next virtual masterclass for fitness Pilates instructors who have got clients with knee and wrist issues. So I've got all my props out ready for this masterclass today, and hopefully this is going to be informative for you and it's going to help you with regards to helping your clients move better. I know that you may actually not be an instructor and you might be watching this for your own personal self. So if you have wrist issues or you have knee issues, you might be watching this masterclass to help you move a little bit better as well. So if there's any questions about anything, don't hesitate to get in touch. You know that I'll always respond, hopefully giving you the best information that I possibly can. Hey Nick, hey Wendy. Good afternoon. So gang, I'm going to take this through first of all from the purpose of making sure that we do an effective warm-up for our clients with regards to the wrists and with regards to the knees, but in a format that is feeling good for your clients. So again, not putting any pressure on them in any way, shape or form. And then I'm going to go through modifications of certain moves that can cause issues, and then the very, very best exercises to help to strengthen around these joints to hopefully alleviate pain, alleviate discomfort and strengthen them so they've got a little bit more longevity. So hopefully you're going to really enjoy this. And again, if you have any questions, just ask. I'm actually going to put the ceiling fan on already, gang, because even though we are mid-September, it is still lovely and warm. So I'm just going to make sure that you can hear me all okay and that the music is just in the background. It's not too overpowering. Let me know if you need me to change anything at all. How's that audio, gang? I'm then going to turn the music off and I'm going to give you a little bit of theory as to the main kind of culprits with regards to our wrists and with our knees. And then we're going to get cracking. So if that all sounds good, let me know and we are going to get going. I'm going to be using lots of props for this. So I'm going to be using blocks. I'm going to be using activation band. I'm going to be using the long bands. I'm going to be using spiky ball. And I'm also going to be using the weights. So you need your whole toy kit out today. Thanks, Nick. Good stuff. Okie dokie. So let's get going. All right. So I'm just going to turn that music off for a moment. So let's think about, first of all, kind of the issues that come from time to time and that can kind of be highlighted during our fitness Pilates classes. We know that we do quite a lot of work on all fours or in a plank position in our fitness Pilates classes. We also love to do a lot of standing work, but a lot of standing work sometimes can aggravate, especially through the knees, if we're doing lots of squats and lots of lunges, which might be inappropriate for our clients. So I'm going to kind of talk about those. First of all, with regards to the wrist, now there's a couple of different issues that could be going on. I'm going to think of it from the purpose of mainly arthritis and also possibly maybe anyone who experiences a little bit of trigger thumb. Trigger thumb can be a result of overuse. So it's quite common. It's a bit of an RSI, but also it's very, very common in anybody who has used their hands a lot, maybe used tools a lot that have caused like a bit of a repercussion to come through. So for instance, Jason had trigger thumb really badly last year, and a lot of that comes from him working on site and working on using like constructive tools and things like that. So you may have male clients come to you who really struggle to bring their hands down onto the floor because of trigger thumb. With regards to the wrist, with regards to arthritis, again, there's nothing fitness Pilates wise that will ever harm your clients with arthritis, but it's generally we want to make sure that they're in a better position so that actually they can exercise more effectively and get the most out of their exercise and not be uncomfortable and not be in pain. Likewise for the knees, 9 times out of 10 it's arthritic. So again, arthritis, bony changes within the knees that is causing discomfort for kneeling positions or for squatting positions. But we may have clients who've had knee replacements. And again, with regards to those clients, kneeling and certain other positions are going to be very, very uncomfortable. The biggest kind of worry that we would have with regards to the knee replacement, the biggest contraindication is anything where that knee is going to twist or pivot. Now, we don't tend to do that in fitness Pilates. It would be more like a dance style class that you would need to watch those clients, because you would want those knees to really stay in a linear fashion rather than kind of pivoting round or twisting round in any way, shape or form. But with regards to the knees, whether it's arthritic or whether it's knee replacements, we need to build up the muscles around them. So we need to think about building these muscles in the quads, the inner and outer thighs, the hamstrings, the glutes and the calves, but in a way that, again, it's not going to cause discomfort with regards to those knees. We also want to stretch out the back of the knee. And I've got a couple of really, really good ways in which you can do that, which will be helpful for your clients. Likewise, with regards to the wrists, a lot of the time, if it's arthritic, we have this tendency to tell our clients, okay, take the weight off or come out of that position and maybe lay down or maybe come on the elbows. And that's absolutely fine, but they're never, ever going to get strong in those positions if they're not actually doing any weight bearing at all. So we do want to do a little bit of work to actually help them take the weight, and strengthen up through the forearms, strengthen up through the biceps and the triceps as well. So again, I'm going to give you those exercises, but again, in a comfortable position and using maybe some props that are going to be more comfortable for your clients from here. So these are the kind of general things that I'm thinking about, mainly arthritis, knee replacements, and also with regards to trigger thumb. If there's any other situations where someone's got a knee or a wrist issue because of anything else, then obviously you want to work with that client on an individual basis, maybe work with the information that they've been given from their clinical advisor, their GP, their surgeon, whoever it is that they've been dealing with, and find out kind of the do's and the don'ts with regards to that condition. Every individual is going to have an individual case and it's going to be quite specific. So just being mindful of that. Okay, so let's get going. So first of all, with regards to what we're going to be doing with our Fitness Pilates, it's important to recognise that with anyone who feels uncomfortable within their knees, that they might find actually to take a little bit more of a wider stance to stand to start with might be better for them, and they might find that they prefer to maybe have their toes turned out slightly. Biomechanically, they might be moving slightly different, so you want to be aware of that. So you might not want to go back to this kind of starting position where you turn the toes out and then realign the heels. It might be okay for them, see how they feel, but again, this needs to be individual and specific to them. But don't worry if they need to take their feet wider, that's absolutely fine. What I do want you to do, though, is really think about getting the clients to evenly distribute the weight between the right and the left foot. We spoke about this yesterday when I did the deep dive on the bursitis, and how when clients have a tendency to stand more on one leg than they do on the other, it can overstretch into the hip area. Now, I know that if clients have got knee issues, they will have a tendency to not want to stand with their weight on the leg that's actually hurting, and that they'll probably stand more on the other side. The problem will be then they'll overcompensate on that side, and then they could potentially end up with a hip issue, like something like hip bursitis, because the fact that they're not putting their weight equally through their feet. So all of these things need to be really advised with the client and let them understand. In an ideal world, they need to be evenly distributing their weight between their right and their left foot. Coming up through the legs, they're not locking the knees. So even though the knees kind of like might feel uncomfortable, we don't want to lock them, we don't want to snap them or sit back into the knees. Think about, again, pulling up through the legs instead, which might be much more beneficial. Pelvis still comes into neutral, and we're going to rock that pelvis forward and back, so we're not going to forget about that. We still want to stay in our neutral spine alignment, super safe for our clients. All the way forward, point A, all the way back, point C, find our point B somewhere in between. And we want to think about, again, engaging the muscles into the bottom as we're doing this. Hey, Demelza. Lengthen up through the rest of the body, grow tall, shoulders up, down, and away from the ears. Neck is lovely and long. So my main focus for our warm-up is going to be through the wrists and around through the knees. So gang, let's start first of all, thinking about the hands. And I want you to place the hands together and slide across and then stretch. So we're going to grasp those hands and then stretch them away. As you do this, focus on your breath and breathing into your lowest rib and exhaling and engaging the muscles in the abdominals. So we're going to start to let the hands release. So many times we hold tension in the hands because our wrists are uncomfortable. So let's let these hands warm up. When that feels good for you, we're going to hold the hands together and circle round into the wrists. Now, I know that might be uncomfortable, so just work to a range of movement that feels good. Go the other way when that feels good for you. And if the arthritis is not only in the wrist, but say, for instance, it's in the knuckles of the hands, you could do this with the hands together here instead. So that might be more beneficial going round in both directions rather than interlinking. Gang, put the hands together and push right to left. You're pushing your top hand into your low hand and feeling the stretch there in the forearm as you move. Again, you can do as many of these as you need to. We're going to move those hands so they're here. And again, I'm going to push from right to left. Just as far as it feels good for me. Elbows up, shoulders away from the ears. Well done. And then let the hands release. Give me a little jazz hands. Stretch them, let them go nice and wide. Now, index finger and thumb together, circle round. We're going to bring the arms up. When they come up to shoulder height, we're going to go with middle finger and thumb all the way up to the ceiling. And then you're going to go ring finger and thumb and turn and reverse and come down. When you come to shoulder height, we're now coming through into our little finger and our thumb all the way down. Now let's go back the way we came. Stay with the little finger, but reverse. Ring finger up to the ceiling, and now go into the middle finger as you come down, and then index finger as you come all the way through. You could repeat that as many times as you need to, and then just circle the wrists round. You're going in both directions. Let that loosen off. Perfect. Now from here, roll the shoulders. The wrists should feel nice and warm, but obviously if there is weakness there, like anything, they may fatigue quite quickly. So take the tension then just away and allow the shoulders to relax. Let's go the other way. So you're circling round and through and noticing how that feels. Stay with the direction that feels like it gives you the best release. That's it. Allowing that tension to go. Now, move the attention to your feet. We're not done with the wrists, but I just want to change up and not overwork a certain area for too long. Now, we would never exercise during a flare-up, especially with arthritis. So if ever heat is present, it looks red, it becomes inflamed and swollen and painful, we categorically stop straight away. The recommendation would be to stop the class, get ice on it, elevate it as soon as possible, maybe take some anti-inflammatories, and wait until everything has kind of reduced down before we go back into exercise again. So a little pedal push. Hopefully this won't feel too uncomfy in the knees. And then when that feels good, we're going to go back to the hands. I'm going to bring them here. We're going to switch them around the other way. We're going to take that above the head, and then we're going to open out. Let's do that again. So forward, switch round, above the head, and then open. So we're starting to get the shoulders and the chest open, but with a little bit of armography as well here. Lifting and releasing. Well done. Abdominals stay strong. You've got it. And one more time. Now I want you to imagine you're playing the piano, but play the piano like me, yeah? Really badly. So I want you to get the fingers to move as much as you can and really go along from side to side and let those hands really, really warm up. Perfect. Back to the feet. Now, depending on balance and depending on how they feel, they may need to hold the wall for this next section. I'm going to bring the right foot forward and we're going to point and flex the foot. So standing strong on the supporting leg, we rotate the ankle. We're going to go round the other way when that feels good. And then release and change sides. So it's important that we let our feet and our ankles release first. Rotate the other way. And again. Good work. This is where the spiky ball comes into play straight away. So we're going to take our spiky ball under our right foot and start to rub. The problem with the knees is that when there is pain and discomfort in an area, it will change the way that we move and the way that we walk. It will change our biomechanics. What happens there is we can experience tightness that then when comes down into the foot. So our fascia on the bottom of the feet can become very tight because we've changed the way we've moved. That could then result in another condition, things like plantar fasciitis. That's a knock-on effect, a counter kind of condition because of what's happening with the knee. So it's important to let the feet release. Do this as much as you need to. And if it's very uncomfortable to do it standing, the client could do it seated. But they're going to rub forward and back in a linear fashion, the same way the fascia lies. And then side to side, and then rotate as much as possible. And really getting that foot to release. Now, instead of doing kind of squats and all sorts of other stuff that I generally do with the spiky ball, I'm just going to really focus on getting the foot to warm up and getting it to release. And instead, what I want to do is let that foot, so the heel comes down, and I'm going to try and creep the toes over the edge. And if I can, I'm going to try and pick the ball up with my foot, taking it over. See whether I can do that. I can't, but it's just a little bit of a task. And then release and change over to the other side. So then coming through on this side, and again, they can hold the wall or they could do this seated if it's very, very uncomfortable to stand. And I want to rub that forward and back, side to side, rotate, go under the arch, under the toes, round the back of the calcaneus heel as much as possible. Let that foot really release. And again, sometimes the tension in the foot can also cause discomfort in the knees. They can kind of be a little bit of vice versa as well. Someone might have very, very tight fascia in the foot. It's changing the way that they walk, and all of a sudden then that's giving them discomfort in their knee, giving them knee pain, which actually isn't anything to do with their knees. So let's release these feet. Again, you're going to go back to that heel down and try and creep the toes over and stretching out the back of the calf, which can get very tight into the Achilles tendon as well there. Good work. Okay, so I want to do some strength work for the legs, the muscles around, just to really try and get the knees to have almost as much chance as possible to become stronger. So the first thing we can do is start with support. This could be either a pole or a bar or a wall, and we're going to come up onto the toes and then down into the heels. We've got a calf raise. Now when you come down to the heels, can you raise your toes? So you're lifting and lowering and pushing back. Now if you didn't need support, this could be done without, and it could also be done with an arm raise to make that harder still. Lift and lower. Good stuff. Now the way that we can progress a calf raise is that we need to be elevated. So this is where the blocks can come into play. Placing the feet so the heels off, and we're going to come up and then let the heels sink. Again, this could be done against a wall, it could be done with a chair or a bar. You're lifting up and down the heels, and we're working these muscles in the calves. So the knees are nice and strong, they're not locked, but we're giving the calves the opportunity to start to get a little bit of overload here. And this could be done as many times as you need, or until fatigue. The abdominals stay nice and strong, lifting up onto these blocks. Do one more. Up there. Good work. Already I'm feeling a little bit pumped in my calf muscles. If you didn't have blocks and you had a step, you could do that with a step, or you could do it on the edge of a stair as well. Good stuff. Okay, so from here, going back to support, we're going to stand strong on our supporting leg, and our other leg is going to start to come forward and back. So we want to start to think about strengthening these muscles around the knees, but maybe in a format that's better than squats and lunges for our client. Now, that's not saying that I would avoid squatting completely, because I've got a client who's got osteoarthritis within her knee, and actually she's at a stage now where her physio has advised her to do a sit down, stand up from a chair, which essentially is a squat, and she needs to keep that going, tensing the muscles in the legs as she stands up and sits down. And squatting is obviously a functional move. We need it to get up out of chairs, up off the toilet. So I don't want to avoid it completely, but I do want to strengthen so that I've got an isometric contraction happening in the leg that I'm standing on near the wall that's got the support. And I've got isotonic contraction happening here in this other leg. Good work. So what we're going to do is we're going to stay forward and lift. I'm tensing the muscles in the thigh. Lift it up. Squeeze. So we really want to work these quads to get this working for us. Push it away. Perfect. Now I'm going to come to the side, out and in. And flex my foot, working through my outer thigh. Again, thinking about these muscles around the knee. Staying nice and strong. How's your supporting leg, by the way? Kicking in. Take it across here. Now turn my foot slightly. My knee will always track with my foot. So there shouldn't be any discomfort as you do that. Lead with your heel like you're kicking a ball towards the wall. 4 more. 3, 2, go back. Squeeze. Now, if this was all too hard to do all in one go, you could absolutely do, say, for instance, the kick forwards, then change legs. Then come back to this leg and do the outer thigh, then change legs. Then the inner thigh, then change legs. And then the glutes, and then change legs. And build up to that stage. Okay, loosen off. You would have felt that isometric work in that supporting side. We're coming over to the other side, standing tall, and we're going to brush the leg forward and back. And again, squeeze the muscles in the bottom. Abdominals stay strong. Body is lovely and long. But we want to get these muscles to work. We certainly don't want to shy away from them, because if you find that the glutes end up not firing properly, or the hamstrings or the quads deteriorate, which often they do with knee issues, it puts an undue strain on the knee, because the knee joint has got to then essentially support itself. Again, I spoke about this on the bursitis yesterday, that when the glutes don't fire properly, the knee can turn in when you walk and run. Again, that could give knee pain just from the fact that these muscles in the butt aren't working properly. Good work. Let's stay forward. Lift. And again, you could do this to a pulse like me, or you could do it slower if need be. I'm going to do 8, 7. 4 more. Well done. Take the leg to the side. We're coming out. Again, flexing the foot. So if it was too much to do that standing all on one leg, remember you could just do the forward, swap legs, do the outer, swap legs, do the inner, swap legs, and do the back, swap legs. Go across, go. Again, you're leading with a heel, come across the midline of the body. Light bend on the knee, so you're not locked the knee, push across. You really want to work that inner thigh. Get that to work for you. Good work. And then back. Nice and strong. Perfect. Let's do 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Give yourself a little bit of a shake out. Superb. Now, take the legs wide, and we're going to come into a stretch through our inner and outer thighs. All of that standing work could be done without the wall. So again, as a progression for clients, start to move them away to improve their balance. So let's rock that over to the side. Feel that stretch. Inner thigh, outer thigh. Again, because these areas might be tight, putting a pull on the knee. Well done. Okay, so from here, let's bring ourselves, roll down to the floor. So first of all, positions that can be uncomfortable for clients with knee and with wrist issues. So obviously our first one being this all four position. And this essentially, traditionally, and when you do your initial fitness Pilates training with myself or Rachel, we would have probably said, if anyone can't be on their hands and knees, bring them down to the floor and they can be here and work opposite arm to leg instead. And again, that's fine, that's cool. But if we always bring them down to the floor and they're never ever doing any weight bearing, they're never going to get stronger. So let's think about, first of all, a move, say for instance, like our cat stretch, our little release here. Then we could actually make that more weight bearing. And instead of coming down to the floor, we could come down to this halfway spot with our hands on our thighs and then lift and lower and take that cat stretch there. And you can still round up and release. And that could be done here really comfortably. Likewise, our thread like a needle move could also be done here. And we aim to take the elbow through in towards that gap and then lift the elbow high. The other hand is just above the knee, no pressure. We can lift the arm up and then we can thread through that gap. So we could do our thread like a needle and we could do our cat to cow in a standing position that might be much more comfortable for our clients. Alternatively, with regards to the hand positions, say for instance, it's very uncomfortable to have those hands flat like that. Absolutely, if a client, say for instance, has trigger thumb, feels much more comfortable to bring themselves onto their knuckles, and that feels good for them, then absolutely do it, because they'll still be weight bearing, which will be working for them. They may find it more comfortable to have their hands elevated, and this is where you might need dumbbells. And it might not necessarily be that you actually lift the dumbbell, but you use the dumbbell to hold on to bring that hand down into the floor. And that might be much more comfortable for the client in that position. If, say, for instance, it's a move like a push-up, and actually we're finding that it's really uncomfortable to actually wait there and push down, we might need to change the position slightly. So a couple of things that we can do. So first of all, we can always move onto our side. And you guys that follow me a lot, those of you that are in my VIP group, will know that I absolutely love my side push-ups as I come up and down. So that if the issue was with this hand, say for instance, I could still work through one arm as I'm laying on my side. That would also be really good for anyone with knee issues who found doing your push-ups really uncomfortable. It might be that we take the knees to the side here instead, or we do that side push-up position, which again might be more beneficial. Alternatively, we could think about actually changing the position. This is where we might need the mini ball. So we're still going to be working the same muscles as we would do in a push-up, but I'm going to take that ball back behind me, and I'm going to use a band, and I'm also going to use some weights for this. So in a push-up, we are working through the core. There's a lot of core activation going on there. So hence why I'm using the ball, and I'm going to sit back and push. I'm going to use the band around my back, and I'm going to take my chest press here. Now I can enhance that work through the abdominals by adding in a single leg slide. And that's working exactly the same muscles as a push-up, but just in a much more comfortable position. The way we can progress this is to change the band to the hand weights. You might find that that's much better for clients instead, in that seated position. Again, no pressure on those wrists, no pressure on those knees. Strength work still coming through the upper body. Couple of other things that we could think about, again, with regards to this kind of all four position. So it might be that we need to actually lift the hands again off the floor, but maybe we haven't got weights. So the first thing that we can do, which is really effective, and I know I've done this in my VIP group before, is actually roll up the end of the mat so that you've got almost like a little roll, and then you're taking the hands on there. It might be here that actually you just lift the legs and don't move the hands, or you could take your opposite arm to leg away instead, and you could be there working through. Alternatively, we could use blocks. And these blocks could either go so they lay on their side and we're holding on here instead. Again, either keeping the hands down or going opposite arm to leg. Again, so that our hands are lifted. We've got more of a curved shape. We're not pushing down into the floor so much. And that might be much more comfortable. A way we can help to strengthen these muscles around the wrists is just to use the activation band as a little bit of an isometric contraction. So the band goes on the back of the triceps. Now again, we could have our knuckles down in the floor, or we could hold on to blocks, or we could hold on to weights. And then what you're going to do is just push against the band. So you activate through the back of the shoulders, the back of the arms, the upper back, and then you could load with the legs. So again, that could be much more beneficial for clients who want to strengthen their wrists, but really struggle placing their hands down into the floor or doing any sort of like push-up work or Superman work. Now, clients with regards to the knees in Superman, it is a bit of a struggle if the knees are really, really uncomfortable in that kneeling position. So with regards to them, we do need to maybe bring them down to the floor completely and go into swimming. Or what would be better would to be bring them up into a standing position. Again, they could use support if necessary, and then they could take same arm as leg and push away. So here we're getting isometric work on the leg that stays still on the floor. So you're actually loading. You're getting the work coming through the glutes and the lower back on this leg that's moving. Working through the back and working through the tummy as well at the same time. So bringing them into a standing position would be, again, much more beneficial because you're actually loading and taking the weight. Whereas bringing it down onto the floor into like swimming, unfortunately, there's no weight bearing there at all. So essentially, if we can think about, using props, using different devices to help our clients actually still weight bear, it's going to be beneficial. So let's give you more exercises that are going to help to strengthen these areas around the wrist, these areas around the knee. Let me start with the wrists this time. Again, I'm going to go back to the spiky ball. And the spiky ball in the hand, again, can really help with regards to releasing the fascia of the hand, just like you did your feet. I'm squeezing and releasing. So a little bit like a stress ball, really, but brilliant because it's lovely and soft and fits in the hand perfectly. And I can keep moving it round to help to release tension in the hand, release tension around the wrist, but also strengthening those muscles around the wrist at the same time. Really, really beneficial. Now, more strength work, if they can actually weight bear, could be just shifting the weight from side to side in that box position. But again, this could be done on the knuckles, it could be done with the hands on the weights or the hands on the blocks. But just shifting that weight from side to side and then shifting the weight forward and backwards. And again, just being aware of that movement to weight bear, working into just a range of movement that feels comfortable without pain. We could then turn the hands to the sides so they face outwards and again shift that weight from side to side. Possibly we might be able to turn the hand back, so the back of the hand goes on to the floor. They might just be able to do one at a time. That's totally fine. Or again, turning the hand backwards and stretching the forearm and the wrist there as well to really let that release. Another great way that we can strengthen these muscles, again using the activation band, maybe around more of the forearm now. Again into weight bearing, but I'm just going to lift up the hand, push against the band into a little cat pedal. From here, we can take that hand out a little wider, so it goes out and then in. So I'm taking just a tiny step with the hand as I push away. Good work. Obviously, work that you can do with weights to help strengthen again through these areas around the wrist is going to be beneficial. So if you've got weights and you can use them within your class, obviously not too heavy, but just something that's going to be beneficial to think about utilizing to help to strengthen through these wrists. If I bring you either up to standing, but this could be done seated, holding on and coming into our bicep curl, again strengthening up through the biceps. And my hands are in a hammer curl position, which a lot of people with wrist issues find much more comfortable than if they actually have their hands in this position, into a conventional kind of bicep curl there. We could also take a tricep kickback into our classes as well, working through the back of the arms. But again, you might find that the clients like to have the arms straight and push away here to work the back of the arms, but keeping the wrists fixed. And again, that might be much more comfortable for your clients. We can also do some specific wrist exercises, and I'm going to use a chair here to show you for these ones. So holding on with the weight, and these all can be done without the weight as well, depending on how they feel. We're going to come down so that our forearm is in contact with the surface. So this could be done not just on a chair, this could be done seated on a chair, on a table if you wanted to. And we're going to move that wrist. So make sure that you can move the wrist, and we're going to lift and lower. So just allowing that to come up and down to start with. From here, that then moves side to side. So little movement there into the side of the wrist. We then move the weight so that it comes here. And again, I'm going to come up and down. You can use the other hand for support if need be. That curls in and out. And then eventually the palm will come up and we curl that up and down. So again, strength work here for the wrist, and then bringing that in and out. So just again, it's super supported as you're moving through. And all of those exercises can really help to strengthen the muscles around the wrist. If we're thinking about now coming in to strengthen around the knees, let's bring you into a side lying position. The lower leg can move out of the way if necessary, and we can lay flat down to the floor. Remember, when you side lie, hips are stacked, lift the waist away from the floor, top arm can be supported. So channeling through the outside of the thigh, we're going to lift and lower. The way we can move that more into our outer thigh and bottom is by turning our toes down and having our heel up. But also we could work those quads again just by taking a simple foot change. So the toes then go up and the heel comes down. And that's going to really work through the front of the leg, but without having to move the position. We could then also work into the bottom a little bit more, and that's by bringing the leg forward and then lifting and lowering. And again, you could do that laying flat down, or you could do it propped up onto the elbow. And that really works through the bottom in that lovely strong position. Again, there's no discomfort on the knee in that side position. Fantastic. I want to think about, again, working through the hamstrings a little bit more and the bottom. But obviously, if kneeling is an issue, this might be a bit of a problem. So what we can do instead is we can either do it side lying, and we can do our hamstring curl here, flexing the foot, drawing the heel to the bottom, nice and strong, or We can lay ourselves flat down into the floor, relax the neck and head, and we can take our hamstring curl here. So lifting and lowering. Now you know I love a glute squeeze, but essentially if kneeling is an issue, we need to modify. So without glute squeeze, we could be here laying on the floor. If our client found that easy and wanted to work harder, we could do that up into a plank position. So obviously as long as the wrists are okay, we could be here. If the wrists weren't okay there, you could be down on the elbows and again into your plank position, lifting up there, really strengthening through the bottom and the back of the leg. Seated positions. If we come here, we can take one leg out of the equation. That could either be bent here or here, wherever you want to be. Hands could either go back behind you. We're going to flex the foot and we're going to lift and lower. Now this work here is great for the quads. We could also work inner and outer thigh here as well by taking that out and in. Now I could make that harder by taking the hand support away, and I could bring in more work for my abdominals by using the ball back behind me. And I'm still working through those muscles in the thigh and the inner and outer thigh. Really important there to help to strengthen the knee. A great way to work your inner thighs. This could be done seated into a chair, or we could sit here in the floor, just squeezing the ball. Again, activating through here. We could, of course, bring that down into the floor, doing it laying flat down with your bottom down, or with the bottom lifted for stabilization of the pelvis and a little bit of more glute work. We make sure that the ball's not actually on the knees, so it's actually into the inner thighs. There's no pressure there at all. And we've got that work coming through. Alternatively, we could work through the outer thighs by using the activation band. So activation band going around the thigh, mid-thigh, again, not too much pressure on the knee. Again, we could start it with one leg extended and we could move that leg out and in that seated position. We could take the arms away to make that harder, and we could activate through more of the abdominals, bringing the ball into play. We could also then bring that down to the floor and either just pushing the knees open against the band, bottom down, or pelvis lifted and then squeezing open. Again, working those muscles around the outer thigh, the inner thigh, the bottom, in that strong and stable position. We could also take that into our clam, either with or without the band, to work the outer thigh. Feet together in line with the bottom, and you're opening that knee out. So I wanted to give you the very best exercises I could to work the inner and outer thighs, to work the bottom, to work through the back of the leg, to work through the calves, to help strengthen up that knee, but also to work through these areas around the wrist, to work the hands, to release the hands, to work the forearms. What I do want to do, though, is a couple of really good release stretches, which might be beneficial for clients, and just a couple more points to give you to make people feel more comfortable. First thing is, in a shoulder bridge position, I know we've just done a few there, Sometimes people can find that can feel very uncomfortable in their knees as they're coming up into that full shoulder bridge. That's probably because your heels are too close to your bottom. So if you move those feet further away, that might feel much more comfortable for a client. So you can lift and lower from there, just having those knees further away. The other thing that we can do with the spiky ball, not only can we release our feet and release our hands, but we can actually also release the back of the knee. And this is where you can lay and put the spiky ball into the back of the knee, either in a side lying position and just hold, or laying flat down and curling the heel to the bottom. You can then move that around to bring that in, either holding the foot or just bringing the heel to the bottom. Again, working on those trigger points to help to release the tension that's going on in the back of the knee. Finally, one of the very best stretches for the back of the knee that we can do, and I was actually advised this through an osteopath that I work with to help my client. This is where you might need a cushion or a pillow. I'm actually going to use another mat for this, but you need something rolled up. And what we're going to do is we're going to place whatever it is rolled up underneath the back of that knee. Option 1, we do this seated, the other leg out of the equation wherever you want. You're going to flex the foot. We're going to push the back of the knee into that pad, into that towel, rolled up towel, cushion, pillow, whatever you've got. We're going to hold for 10 seconds and we're going to relax a couple of seconds and we're going to repeat again. And we're going to do that 6 times on both legs. So 10 seconds, 6 times on both legs. Second thing we could do is actually do it laying down. So again, you're using something rolled up into the back of the knee. You're going to flex that foot. And we're going to push into the pad and then release it. Again, hold for 10 seconds. Relax for a couple of seconds and then repeat again about 6 times on both legs, really flexing the foot. And that can make a huge difference to help to stretch out through the back of the knee. When that doesn't become effective anymore, this is where you can use a block and you can use a band. Foot can come up onto the block, seated position, band around the foot, and again, almost imagine you're trying to push the back of the knee down into the floor. The fact that the foot's elevated will mean you can feel that stretch a little bit more, nice and strong there. When that starts to become not effective anymore, we want to turn so the block's standing on his side and then use it there. When that becomes ineffective anymore, we stand him on his feet and we're there. So we increased it the whole time. Still pulling, 10-second hold, couple of seconds release, 6 sets on each side to really help to stretch open there. When the discomfort is relieved in the knee, and it might not be particularly with regards to arthritis, it might not go, but if you're having a good day, you could also then turn the foot so the toes turn in, heel out wide, and then you could also turn that foot the other way. But make sure we're not twisting the knee, so the knee will always stay tracked with the foot, that you're not just moving your foot and then your knee staying still. Biomechanically, it can't really do that anyway, but just be mindful that clients are letting the knee move with the foot as they're taking that through. I think with anything, A lot of the time we need to work with that client on a one-to-one basis, and we need to make sure that they're happy. We need to make sure that things feel good for them. I know with my client, with her arthritis within her knee, there's days where she can kneel and she's absolutely fine, and then there's other days where her knees are feeling quite inflamed and quite uncomfortable, and kneeling for her really isn't appropriate, and we need to change it up. And that generally is to do more with what she's been doing outside of the work that she does with me. So when she's, for instance, done a lot of walking, maybe been away for a holiday to Scotland and done a little bit of hill walking, that kind of thing. Or maybe she's been standing on her feet all day. So I think we really need to think about speaking regularly to our clients, finding out what's working for them, maybe giving them a bit of homework, the things like the wrist work with the weights, going through it with them a couple of times, and then actually maybe doing a video for them that they can do without you on a regular basis. But the more you can help to strengthen the muscles around the joints, the better those joints are going to become. And also, the more we can actually put our clients in better positions, we're going to find that they're going to be able to work more effectively. So I really hope that that's been informative for you guys. I hope you found that helpful. Please let me know if there's any questions at all. I hope that's given you something in your toolbox that you can then take away and help your clients move better. And likewise, like I always say, feel free to message me if there's any questions at all. But thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I really hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Good stuff, everybody. Take care, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.